Well, another bit of excitement here today. This is my Atoto F7 stereo. Now, I wasn't expecting to see it in an Amazon Prime box, but maybe they're just simply recycling returns from Amazon. So anyway, let's see what it's like inside. Well, there we go. One box. It's actually quite a solid unit. Just packaging. So it's an F7 WE. I don't know why they bother with this Japanese kanji or whatever you call it writing, because they're not Japanese, they're Chinese. But yeah, that feels a lot more heavy than I was anticipating. So, bunch of cables. That's the Wi-Fi antenna. That's the external microphone. The plates with the screws for mounting it. Another set of ISO cables. And another set. So I've got two lots of ISO connectors and then one that allows you to splice it into your existing wiring. Brackets assembly guide. Okay, I'll just drop that on the floor. System operation manual. And then here's the actual unit. Let's get a bit more space here. Alright, so it does feel quite chunky, quite solid. There's no protective screen on there. This is a refurbished unit that I've bought. It cost me a grand total of 58 quid. So that's that bit. And then I've got some other stuff in the box here. Oh, I've got an extra external mic. I don't know if it's different. Looks the same. So I've got two external mics, and then I've got two frames to presumably fit a different opening in the car. So anyway, it's going to be going into a Kia Ceed. So I'll have a look and see how that actually looks in the car. But yeah, so far it seems okay. Certainly for the money, I'm not going to be complaining. But I'll need to hook it up and see if the whole thing sparks up. Well, I'm sitting in the car. It's like a fridge in here. So this is where it's going to go. Going to go in there. Well, that's the theory anyway. So I've got these trim pieces. So I can see straight away it looks like it's fine at the top and the bottom, but there's a definite gap, that much missing. So it will obviously fit in, but I'll have be a bit like, you know, when you're watching a video and you've got the letterbox or something. I'm definitely going to have bits missing there. So what's going to be the best way to deal with that? I mean, I'm not going to fit the thing today, but so it's fine height wise, or it looks fine height wise. And this stereo unit is actually slightly curved, and then this obviously is tiny by comparison. So that is not quite what you want. There'd need to be some sort of infill. Put it close up. You see the edge there and the edge there. So up and down looks like a good fit, but at the sides not 100%. But anyway, that's where we are. I'm going to see if I can hook up a 12-volt battery to this and see if I get any power, display, etc. But so far it does seem to be fairly decent quality. It's not something that you pick up and you go, God almighty, that just feels like absolute crap. It does feel solid. So anyway, if anybody knows of any trim piece that fits a Kia Ceed, I'm happy to hear, because that's not going to look right. Well, it's a couple of hours later. I have hooked up the illumination accessory and constant power to the positive, and I've hooked up the ground obviously to the black here. So now, there's my fat gut there, I'm going to connect the red to the positive. So there we go. Let's come on. Home. Don't know if I can get that at a better angle so that you see. So let's see settings. I'm doing this through the phone looking at it, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm a bit slow. It seems quite fluid. I don't know how that looks like on the camera. Settings. I don't think I'm in China, but I'll not bother setting any of this up. Factory set. Oh, that's not something I'm going to do. Wallpaper. Choose. So you can choose different wallpapers, obviously. Presumably you can put whichever one in that you want. Settings. Steering wheel position, touch calibration. Well, I don't know what else to say about it right now. I haven't tried setting up my phone to it. But yeah, it seems, you know, when I'm sitting here looking at it, it seems to be quite slick. The brightness seems fine. What happens when I push that? Oh, don't know what I've done there. Let's see. So you've got a home button. Alright, so I've not set up the radio yet. Got a back button. Is that a battery, is it? Launch CarPlay or Android Auto after Bluetooth connection. Okay, so that's that. Auto answer. Back to home. I've no speakers hooked up to this or anything like that at this point in time, but anyway, it's just a quick test. It does indeed turn on. the next step will be to put it in the car. So I'll probably do that at the weekend, but here's the introduction to it. As I say, the only thing is that I'm noticing is that the frame that's supposed to infill to the panel, where I'm going to remove the factory radio, it's not quite the right size, so there's a little bit of a gap at the sides. So if anybody's got any ideas as to how you've got round that, I'm all ears. So that's it for now. I'll just say this is part one then. Well, it's now Saturday morning. I've still not received my antenna adapter, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see about removing this fascia for removal of the standard factory stereo or head unit or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to use this pry tool. I'm going to have to get in, I think, round about the corners at each side, kind of pull it out, tug it out a little bit, and then I'm going to have to pry it out at the top, and then in theory it's going to kind of come back like that, and then I'm going to have to disconnect all the connectors. So that's the plan there, and the next thing I want to do is look at where to position or sight the reversing camera that I've just received from AliExpress. One thing I've noticed, it was meant to be a 720p camera, but it's not according to instructions, so it's been a little bit of false advertising there, but can't really complain for the price, which I think was about less than £4 delivered. That's one thing. I've noticed for a while this bit of trim has been kind of loose. It's not like that here on this side, but that's something I'm going to look at while I'm at this. So I've noticed other people seem to have something similar with their rubberized surface dashboards, so that's something I'm going to look at. Bit of a bonus content there. Right, so I've found that that's come away fairly easy in that corner, so that's alright. Now let's see if I can do the same on this side. Yeah, that's come away. I heard something about here, so yeah, that's definitely loose. That's definitely loose. Obviously I'm just doing this one-handed, so it should be a hell of a lot easier if you're doing this with two hands, not attempting to make a YouTube video. Right, so that's definitely loose there now. I hope that's the sound of clips as opposed to anything else. So yeah, making a bit of a hash of trying to get in there. So anyway, I'm going to do this with two hands now, which would be the sensible option. Get this out and then have a look at the connectors on the back. Right, so that's off. Now what worked for me was I got this in here and I just kind of pulled this towards me. This bit popped off first and then that bit popped off first. So now I've got that fascia panel free. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and I'm going to take my negative or my positive terminal off the battery, just to make sure there's no cock-ups before I disconnect any of these connectors. Well, it's funny how sometimes you're in the middle of something and you get non-stop bloody phone calls. So anyway, I've taken that off at the top. There's the vents. They obviously fit in there, so just kind of bring it back gently. Now you've got these connectors here, so I'm going to undo those connectors. There's some down there as well, but what I'll do is I'll see if I can undo these ones first, and then I'll get a better look at what's going on down here. Okay, so that's the fascia panel removed. So this one's easy. You just push this little trigger in, which is on the left side like that. This one's easy. You just push that tab or tongue in on the top. This one you come in from the side, push that one there, and this one, the underside, you push that there. And then one I wasn't aware of initially was this one, but it's straightforward. You just push that tongue there. So that's that. So I've got my screwdriver set here, and I'm gonna undo the factory unit. So it looks like there's 4 Phillips screws to undo. You can see the channels for the air here. You might find that the fascia is kind of snug in there, so that's why you've got to kind of pull it out. So anyway, I'll get these 4 screws undone and have a look and see what's behind the actual stereo. Now, one thing before I take that out, I was looking at the padded dash material. So that you can see is obviously splayed out slightly there. I presume it's with the heat. I don't know if it's an idea to put some contact adhesive down there and then push that down into place, but the truth is, when you're sitting here, you don't really see that. It's only if you're in the passenger seat that you'll probably notice that slight gap, but it's not hellish. You know, I can live without putting that back down, but if anybody has OCD, this might be the time and place to think about sticking that down, but there'll be quite a bit of tension on that, I think, which might cause the glue to peel away unless you've got some little clamps. I suppose if you've got those little, like woodworking clamp type things, that might hold that down, but I'll probably not bother today because it's a cold day and this is going to be harder than it would be in the summer when it would be a bit more pliable. So anyway, enough talking nonsense, back to the 4 screws. Alright, that's the 4 screws removed. So there's some locator points. There's the 2 little small dowel type things there. Right, so I'm going to stop recording here and I'm going to see what connections I've got at the back of the radio. These were fairly stiff, but this connector, which is this multicoloured one, that was an absolute bugger. That was really not much fun trying to get that out at all. I don't know why it was so difficult. But that, maybe that's why. The blue bit not moving it as much as it should. But the yellow side wasn't too bad, but it was on really tight. They were in tight as well. All the other connectors have come out absolutely no problem at all. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to have to space out the new head unit to roughly the same distance. So I better put that there.
A bucket puncher.
Have you? Oh well, that was Adam opening the door and giving me some good news. He's got a puncture. So, right, so I'll need to have a look at this. I have a little bit of brain power or grey matter involved, and take it from there and see how the plates line up. Well, this is the first test fit. Now, one of the things that I would say is the bottom bracket seems to fit fine. I've got it on the inside of this bracket. So this is a bracket, a flat plate. So I've got the that mounted there and there. Now the only thing is, this particular stereo is flat. The original Kia unit is curved, so this will make it more complicated, because I'm now going to have to sort of bend that back. Now how I'm going to achieve that, I don't know yet, but there will be a bit of adjustment in it, but it should really come out straight. So what I'll do is I'll do a test fit of the fascia panel on there so that you can see what I mean, or to demonstrate it better. Right, so that's the fascia plate just popped in. I'll need to pop it back out again, obviously. So as you can see, there's a bit of protrusion there, and it's just slightly too far back here. Now there is a trim plate that goes over this, but I can assure you I'm not going to be happy with that like that, so I'm going to have to figure out how to kind of rotate it sort of down and back. There doesn't seem to be any kind of adjustment that facilitates that, but what I'll do is I'll go and get the trim plate and I'll put the trim plate on it just to highlight this a bit more. Okay, so I've fitted the trim plate frame, so at the side you can see the gap. Yeah, I'm not going to be happy with that. But this part, there's still a bit of a lip, so this needs to come out slightly further at the bottom, and then at the top, I can't see that because it's too far, but I mean I can get my fingertip in there. It's probably about 1 centimetre at this corner and corner. So with a Kia Ceed, probably any Kia model, unless it's got a flat fascia, this definitely makes it a bit more complicated. So I'm going to have to think about this. The gap isn't really that bad, but it's going to be exaggerated at the top because it curves back and slightly out. So you'll see that's a bit wider there than it is down there. But it's maybe not as bad as I thought, but getting the angle right, that's going to really that's going to test me, to say the least. But yeah, I need to get my thinking cap on there. Well, here's Baldrick's cunning plan. So at the moment I've just put one screw in down there, and that allows me to put this back and forth. So I'll just need to put it at a sort of happy medium point. So I'll try there. Now, will this bracket fit anywhere close? I'll need to bend that out a bit. I'll probably need 2 hands to do it. But that looks at a bit of a better angle, I think. So I'll just need to see if any of these bits line up with any of those bits. So watch this space. Well, there's a slight improvement there. It's a little bit closer to that edge, but I've still got this bit here that's it's like it needs to kind of come down slightly and tilt in, and then it'll be pretty decent. So I've completely pushed this home again. Getting a bit of an expert at taking this fascia plate off now. So I need to come down about 5 mil and go back maybe 5mm there would be okay. So back into the top 5mm and down about 5mm. Now whether that's possible with what I've got, I'm not entirely sure. But I don't think you see too many people with these problems on other videos installing a Atoto F7. It's just, oh yeah, wire it up and then you go, no problem. So if you are thinking about getting one of these, definitely give this a thought. Well, I'm still fiddling about. I'm getting closer, but still not, still not there. But yeah, I think I'll just see how well it works first before I spend any more time trying to get this right today. I've still got to attach a reverse camera to it, so you know I've got more things I need to do, and I also need to make sure I get the wiring correct for the steering wheel controls. I don't think these ones matter, but yeah, these ones certainly, and these ones. But yeah, I'll wire it up just now, see if it's working, and then take it from there. But I think I'll be doing a part 2, as in how I'm going to adjust this. What I'm thinking is, I've not put this in properly, I don't think. What I'm thinking is, I'm going to get this bracket here, and I'm going to angle it how I think I should angle it. So I'm going to tilt it, and then I'm going to draw a line so I know roughly where it needs to be. So let's see, I'll put this roughly in position. So let's see. Alright, so that needs to come down there, and then it needs to tilt back. I'll need 2 hands to do it. So I'm going to have to tilt it back slightly and then move it back. Then I'll know roughly the angle. I need to maybe drill some holes to secure it, but I think that'll be in part 2. So this will be part 1 for now. Right, so I've got the thing hooked up. It's fine. The thing I'm noticing is as soon as I turn on the lights, this happens. The display starts flickering. Got lights on full. Turn the lights off, it stops. Turn the lights on. That's just side lights. Flicker. Lights on full. Just put it on. It's not as obvious. It's much brighter, so changing the brightness. Half brightness. So I don't know what's causing that. It looks far more dull on the camera. I'll start the car. That's beam on. Still flickering. Turn the lights off. It stops. So. Well, it's now Sunday morning. I've had a bit of a rethink about how I'm going to mount this in the car. So, from what it looks like, I have to use these brackets that come, because that fixes it in the center. So I need to use that for alignment. So I think it's almost impossible to align this without using these brackets. I may be wrong, but that seems to be how it is. And then obviously you have the profile difference, the shape. So I think what I need to do is I need to basically take this as the point, because that's the flat part, and then this part will obviously stick out. I'm never going to replicate this. No, that's not going to be the case. So what I've done is I've actually been onto Amazon and I've ordered a fascia trim panel that will be the same shape as this, and then this part will sit inside it. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking at, obviously this is the underside of the unit, I'm looking at the lower brackets to see where things line up. Now if I bring that back, there's two bolt holes here, and then I'll need to have something that closely lines up with that, or I need to drill points on here to line up with these threaded apertures or openings to mount this bracket. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to see how well I can align this to look very similar to the head unit, the existing one. So this is how I'm attempting to achieve this or that. I'm not saying it's necessarily correct. So I've got an engineering ruler and I've marked there and I've marked there, and then presumably that will align with this, and then the same here. I've put one mark there and one mark, one mark there, and then this is in line here with there. It's in line, so presumably that should be okay. I'm not saying it's 100%, but well, that's where I am right now on Sunday. So I will now look at where I can put that bracket, and then I'll turn it over for the other side. Okay, so I've marked up here and there. I've done the same thing again. I've basically put the ruler along it. I've made sure they're aligned, going along like that, and then I've put the ruler there, marked it and marked it. So theoretically now I need to use this bracket and line it up. I've shaded it to make it look easier to see. Then that should, with this bracket moved into that position and secured, it should align with the aperture, and hopefully that works. So anyway, that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to get these holes to line up so that they can align with the factory mount inside the dash. Right, so with that kind of lined up, I don't know if you can see anything there. You can't see it, but anyway, with that slightly lined up, there's no hole. So the nearest screw is that one, but let's have a quick look. Let's lift that up. So there's a hole down there. So that little nib is kind of in there. I don't know if it would be possible to put a thread into here and hold that tight. You know, like put a nut and bolt there with a washer, and that would hold that tight, and probably the same on the other side. Yeah, so if we line that up, in fact, there would be a screw could fit there, but it's actually interfered with there, so that one's not much use. So there's no holes in the right position for the upper mount, so I'm going to have to do something. I'm either going to have to drill a couple of holes through the bracket here and put a nut and bolt in, and then it should hold it, and then I'll have to see what the other side's like for the bottom. Well, that's the spacered brackets fitted into the standard factory mounts at the back. It certainly looks more
centralized, but the thing is I still need to wait to get the curved surround to absolutely 100% get that exactly where it is. But so far so good. The one thing I did notice was that the depth of this obviously is not the same, so you need to take into consideration that you might have to move the brackets slightly up or slightly down, but the alignment's okay. I can't complain about that so far, but until I see this fascia piece that's going to go in here, it might be that I'll need to move this slightly further up or slightly further down. I'm not entirely sure, but it's been ordered on Amazon, so hopefully that comes tomorrow. I've actually just quickly put the frame around it, so you can see the difference in the shape, you know, quite easily. So that's almost meeting it at the top, but you know, it's well in at the bottom. So the fascia piece should fill in that gap and that curve, and then the unit will have a more sort of factory finish, I would guess, but I can't see, unless somebody else can give some or shed some advice on it, I can't see that you can make this unit fit professionally with this size of opening that's curved that way and curved this way. So but so far so good. I'm going to pull this back out, connect everything up, all these connectors, put a couple of screws in to hold everything in place, and well, that'll be it for now until I get the surround, and then make any further adjustments. And then once I've done that, another thing I'm waiting on is the antenna adapter. It's a different antenna. And what else? I need to see about wiring the reverse camera in. And what else? I've got to put the Wi-Fi, this thing, the Wi-Fi antenna needs to be connected. Oh yeah, and the steering controls need to be looked at. So I think I know how to do that, famous last words, without the need for an adapter. So at this point in the video, I will say that if you're going to buy one of these head units for a Kia Ceed or a Kia Venga or any Kia that's got a slightly curved dash, I would say save yourself a lot of time and don't get the idea you're going to fit this square plate as it is and make it look professional, because I don't see how it can be. You're going to have to get something with an adapter that fits this face. Now the thing is, you might not be concerned. You might say, hell, that looks great, and if that's how you feel about it, that's fine. You could certainly pack this out here, and maybe even don't need to bother about that, but at the sides you could just put something down there, a bit of neoprene I guess, or a bit of rubber. You could make that look acceptable. But if you want to do it properly, well, I like to think I'm doing it properly. If you want to do it properly, it's going to take a lot more thought than just simply taking the old one out and putting the new one back in and having it all centralized automatically. So for me, wiring this up would probably take half an hour. Take the old unit out, put it in, wire it up, probably half an hour and you're up and running. But to get all of this aligned how you want, that's going to complicate matters. So so far I'm quite happy with the Atoto unit. Obviously I've not used it in anger yet. I've only had the thing fitted. I was very lucky to get I think it was the January 20% off or something, so it was only 58 quid delivered, so I'm not complaining about that. So for the cost, very decent, but day-to-day use, I don't know yet, but I'll cover that in the next video. Well, it's now Tuesday. I have received my antenna adapter, which I hope will work. that's what the stereo is looking like at the moment. And I have also ordered and received a fascia trim, because there's no way I was going to get that shape to fit that profile. So this was basically £7 on Amazon. My pal ordered it for me because well, I don't have Amazon Prime, so that's going to go in there and hopefully fill out the dash. I might need to do some adjustment of this because it looks like it fits at the top. So I'm going to remove this, and firstly I'm going to connect this. I mean, I've still got other things to do. I need to do the installation of the dash cam, but today I'm just going to see about installing this. There's no way I was going to get a flat rectangular object to look good without some sort of adapter. So if you want to use the standard fascia trim, I think you can actually buy stereos that come with the fascia trim, but I think they're quite a bit more expensive. But something like this is available from China for about £10, so maybe $12–13. But so time to get this out. I'm quite good at getting that out now. Just need to get the spudger, or whatever you call it, the orange thing that I've got, get that in here, slide it up, that's that one off, and then I need to get it in here, that's that off. So pretty straightforward. I'm holding the camera and doing it. And then the next thing is just to pop it out at the top here. I think that side comes out first most easily, but anyway, I'm not going to bother doing that. I'll make it easier for myself, but pop it out here, pop it out there, then it should come straight out. Then disconnect these connectors and that one, and then I'll take the radio unit out and see about putting the antenna adapter in. Okay, so I've removed the fascia. It's one of these things that the more you take it off, the quicker you'll get at doing it. So that's going to get put in, I presume, from the back end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in with two hands and see how it looks from the front. Well, that's what it fits like, so seems to be okay. Definitely going to give it, well, I'm assuming it's going to give a better finish than having the frame around that. So I'll see how that fits with regards to how this is positioned in the dash. Well, what I'm noticing is it's a friction fit, so you kind of push it in, you fit it, and then this bit at the corner seems to want to pop off. I think it's slightly twisted, so it does do the job. It'd have been better if it had been a frame all the way around. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put a little dot of glue or something. So, see how I need to put the light on. Right, so that's there fitted. It's fitted. See how if I push it in securely there, it pops out here. So it's obviously just slightly twisted, so there's not enough friction. It seems to grip quite well on this side, or better anyway. Yeah, this is going to need a little bit of adjustment in this corner, which is the top left, as you look at it in the car. So that is very easy to spring off. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to put a tiny little amount of super glue on there just to hold it in position, so that if it has to be removed later, you can break it off. But yeah, so this product, I think it'll generally be okay, but it's perhaps not quite as, you can see it there how it's coming apart. So it needs to go across and then get pulled back. But you see, when you pull it back there, it comes away here. So that needs to get put in. It probably needs to be glued in, actually, this thing, if you want to do it as well as you can. But yeah, you see how it's already coming away there. So it'll need to get secured at the bottom and at the right hand side, and then lastly it'll get put into place at the top left. So what I would say is, this trim is obviously, it's a good idea, because you're never going to get the flat, square, rectangular shaped stereo to fit this gap and make it look anything like it should. But this piece of plastic is probably worth a couple of pounds at most. I say this was £7 delivered on Amazon Prime, and it was supposedly originally £10 odd, but there's no way that's worth £10 other than convenience. But it doesn't even snag properly. But so anyway, I'm going to have to adjust that, and obviously it's not designed to be doing that. So anyway, there you go. And then the other great news is, this is the wrong adapter. Even though it said it was for Kia 2009 to whatever, it's not the one. So maybe I could just splice that, take this off and splice it into the radio connector here somehow. I'll look up how I can do that, otherwise I'll just need to order another one. Well, this is the first fit with the trim glued in place, so that looks okay. I can see that this needs to move up here very slightly. I don't know how that compares to that. So it kind of looks okay. You know, if you're sitting in the driver's seat, it probably looks somewhat acceptable. But I don't have OCD, but yeah, it's not quite what I would want. So I think this needs to move up very slightly, so I'll need to look at adjusting that. So this is rapidly becoming something that in theory should have been an hour at the most to do it, and it's taking a bit longer than that. So this is a forewarning for those of you that want to replace your factory fit stereo with something like an Atoto or other Android type large screen display. So I'm going to look and see. So I can see there's, I don't know, it's less than a centimetre, and there it's very close. Now I want to have this bit with the buttons, I think, slightly higher up, because there is an edge to it, just like here and down the sides. So I think that should go further up. So I probably need to go up maybe about 4mm there. You can see what I mean. You'll be able to press the buttons, I'm sure. I don't think the buttons are actually snagging, but you're going to have to use the edge of your finger. So I'm going to have a look and see about how far up I can move that by adjusting the brackets at the back. Well, I think that definitely does look a bit better. I need to completely centralize it and then figure out figure out where I need to put some marks on the dash. So I'll get a pen or a Sharpie and I'll mark it as it is there. So yeah, I'm happier with that. I mean, obviously there's still this gap, but when you're back here, you'll not really notice that, or it'll be acceptable. I mean, I might find the little mini frame that was meant to be for this and see if I can fit that in. But that to me now seems to be the correct angle. So as you can see, you can definitely see how the profile of the faceout is. So if you want to make life easier, I would definitely recommend one of these. Or perhaps a more simple solution would be, instead of getting a 7-inch screen, get a 9-inch one that fits into this space, and you don't have to carry on with all this nonsense. You know, one that just sits in and it covers all this up. That might be the practical solution. But if you want to stick to a 7-inch screen, yeah, I would definitely recommend getting one of these, even if it is an overpriced bit of bloody plastic. Well, that's the brackets adjusted. So maybe I should put the flash on. You can see the gap there at the bottom. You can see the gap at the sides. That's the gap just there. And there's a bit of a gap at the top. And then there's a bit of a gap at the side there. So with this stereo came this little frame. So it may be possible to put that in and have a little bit more of the gaps taken away. So that, I think that's it. That's it the wrong way around, I think. But you can see that does fill the gap in nicely. You can see that bit's popped in there a little bit. This is going to have to come off again because I'm going to have to get the antenna adapter, the correct one. But I think that actually looks, I'll get right in there so you can see, I think that actually looks acceptable like that. Don't think it's too drastic. But when I take this out, I'll get that glued in again. Obviously didn't put quite enough glue on it, but yeah, just a little dot of super glue and I'll hold it there. But yeah, the rest of it looks okay. So anyway, I'll fire the thing up and connect the phone to it. Well, this is it started up. It's gone on to maps straight away. I need to set my clock, obviously. It's got the correct time there, 16:48, so that's not so bad. It's funny on the camera, that looks really visible, the red, but to the naked eye it's not nearly as bright as that. What did I do? Oh, that's back to that. So we'll go back to here. Yeah, the colours look a bit different. So I've got my USB stick. Oh, I've not got anything plugged in. I have actually temporarily put the USB 1 slot here, just to see how it works. I mean, obviously that's not really where it should be, but it's kind of out of the way. I've still to set up the camera. I've said this loads of times now, and I'm needing to get the antenna adapter, so this will be it for now again, and see how it goes. So I obviously need to charge my phone as well. It's only got 2 bars according to that. So if you have any questions, just let me know, and feel free to like and subscribe.